All right, on today's DNVR Nuggets podcast, we're walking out of Ball Arena right now. We had some interesting notes from practice, including Peyton Watson, who is ramping up and participated today.
Also, there was one player that David Adelmen said stood out during the scrimmage.
You'll never guess who it was. Also, a nice coaching wrinkle, a little insight into how the Nuggets are going to have to approach end-of-game offense. This is the DNVR Nuggets podcast.
Oh, baby. It is time. What is today? Thursday? There it is. Thursday. Only a couple more off days. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets podcast.
Let's go.
Let's go. Presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. I bet on the Avs, made 3 bets, lost 2 of them. Still came out in the positive.
There you go. That's the goal, right?
I had Mikko Rantanen in 3 points.
They say that's the goal.
I got it, man.
You should have had him 3 goals.
I know, man. He was incredible. Guys, we have a great show for you. I always say this, man. When we have a day off and there's like a practice or an event, it's almost like we have 2 shows worth of stuff. 2 practices between the last one and this one, and there's a lot to get to. To help me with it, I got Harrison Wind.
Great being out at Nuggets practice today, as you could see with our little cold open intro video.
Well, it was cool, huh?
Beautiful day out there in Denver, Colorado. Good vibes at practice, I thought.
Some people are impressed that you guys managed to get back so quickly. That was about 30 seconds.
It was pretty
know.
quick.
It's pretty
It
quick.
was pretty quick. Over here, Brennan Vogt.
Hey guys, I am on such a run with Bet365 right now, and you know what that means. The other shoe's going to drop soon enough.
Yeah,
Here we go.
here we
Just
go.
in time for basketball season.
Wait, did you bet against the Avs last night?
No.
What?
No, I've just been a lot of football, and it's working out for your boy.
Don't win money like a trader. Lose money with your boys.
That's right.
That's how you do it.
Or you could just be real sick and bet on baseball. And then it's just then it's in Satan's hands.
Let's do it. We're gonna get to basketball really quick. Baseball playoffs freaking rule.
They're
man.
the best,
They
dude.
really are. I hate baseball. I'm not a huge baseball fan. I never watch it in the regular season. But you get to the playoffs, like a 1-1 pitch. Do you watch baseball? Are you watching it?
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah, I've heard of it.
I mean, like it's something you're
Yes,
into.
I've been watching the playoffs.
Okay, there you go. I'm telling
Rooting
you,
against the Dodgers.
Of course. A 1-1 pitch, and it's just like you're just like, oh man, here it is.
Dude, baseball's so funny because there's no other game that's like this. You could go 8 innings, which is 2 hours basically, and your team is not in it. And then there's one at bat where it's like could change the entire. You'll never get sweatier. You'll never get sweatier.
Crowds are amazing. Crowds really make a great environment. You know what? Like the loud crowds and everything. It's pretty cool. But today, guys, we're going to get into some X's and O's, actually. I'm kind of excited. Had some good chats over the last couple of days with different people. You know, we talk from the outside, the 10,000-foot view, about what's different about adding a Westbrook and guys playing new spots and new roles. But, you know, I feel like we have some new insight after watching the games and even just talking to some people, you know, through these media pressers. And there's some real stylistic differences, role differences, and ripple effects from guys changing into different roles that I think is going to be pretty compelling storylines to the season. So we're going to get to that and obviously a handful of more topics. But I'm going to start with practice today. First note, there's a new board up. At the arena.
New board alert.
The NOAA board, which if you don't, I don't know what NOAA stands for, but it is a position tracking, right? The players will wear things or hold things in their pocket and it'll track their movement, their shots. Then there's cameras around the building. It'll tell you like how accurate your shots are. So whether you're missing front rim, back rim, and different things. And I know players are super into it. I was actually talking to somebody with the team the other day about, you know, analytics and how much do players get into it. He said they're actually buying into it a lot more than they were 5-6 years ago. And some of it is stuff like NOAA, where players like actionable analytics. You give them numbers, they don't understand, whatever. But when you tell them, like, when you miss, you're more likely to miss left, players are like, oh, I want to see the data on this. I want to see it. And then it was cool to see the board up. They've had the technology, but they hadn't had the board up until today.
It's the Raptors, I think, right, who have really, among other teams, I think, who have really invested in stuff. I think this stuff, some of their practice photo showing.
It's really been working out well for them.
Yeah, I know. It's so
lately.
funny, the things you get jealous of orgs that are. But I thought a lot about how much the visual presentation probably bakes into the players being receptive.
Well, it's really
to
cool. I mean, you can see exactly where the ball goes through the rim at. If it's left, right, back, short, just off a little in the middle, like it's so detailed.
And honestly, isn't that just a better way for a bunch of 20-year-olds to digest information than someone just telling it to them? Or here's a packet or an email.
Visual learning.
It sounds so silly, but I'm serious. Literally just putting the screens up, I think, may have made a huge difference.
This is why I say, man, like I was talking to somebody about tennis, which I know nothing about. And we're talking about how over the last 20 years, the same few people win. And they were like, because when you win, you make millions. And when you take third place, you make a little bit. And when you make fourth place, you don't make any money. So if you win, you get better training and everything else. And it just kind of compounds. I think the same is true of training. Like it's not a coincidence that so many NBA players now have kids that are coming through and are also NBA players. Right. But stuff like this, I look at. When I was, here I'm going to go back in the day. Back when I was in high school, we had the old net thing that you would put around the hoop. You know what I'm talking about? And it was
we had that too in high school.
Yeah, and it was manual. You had to like manually raise the net up and stuff. And now they have them even at Basketball Social House where it tracks the number for you, spits the ball. You can program it to different things. And that's just Basketball Social House. Then you get to the NBA where they have that times a million because it's literally spatial tracking everything. Yeah. And I sit here and I go, if you get into the NBA, your odds of growing as a player should go so high because now you have this insane ability to level up. And that's when I look at that board, I'm like, my God, if I could have this, like this would have been the greatest thing for 18-year-old.
Imagine if you had that freshman year of high school.
Dude, I even think like when I watch a clip of me shooting, in my mind, I have a sense of what it looks like. And then when you see a video of it, you're like, oh, my elbow's a little out more than I thought.
That looks terrible.
Yeah, like in my head, I'm Kobe Bryant. And then I see myself, I'm Mason Plumlee. Like even just seeing yourself helps. But if you had not only that, but release angle, how tight is your elbow? Like those types of things over and over and over again. How do you not get elite at shooting?
I know. Like you got to really mess up to get into the NBA and then get worse.
And
some guys manage to do it. I don't know how, but you really got to try to get worse, it feels like.
Your joke about the Raptors was good. And then also, I think there's something interesting there. It's not that this stuff necessarily equals titles. Now, like the most important stuff is, do you have Jokic or not? Do you have LeBron? It always is, always will be. But there are little things certain orgs just... They make sure they dot all their I's, cross all their T's in all these little ways. And I think that's some of the stuff, that players pick up on when it comes to free agency decisions. Not that anyone is really probably going to pick Denver with any big decision in the near future, but...
The Noah board isn't a tiebreaker?
No, but these
when
things,
you're deciding your next team.
No, but I do think these things add up. Like, are you doing every? We talk about player. Okay, Jamal Murray. We talk about Jamal Murray. Is he doing every single thing he can as an athlete to get the best out of himself? Is an organization doing everything they can to get the? I've talked about this. You think about the way the Warriors grew with Steph. You know? The Nuggets, it's important that you grow with Jokic. He won't be here forever. This can still change the trajectory of your org forever. So again, it's not to say that it's more analytic boards up means you win more, but I think adopting all of these things and kind of doing what you can to transform the way it feels to be a part of the Nuggets, from Jokic all the way down to the training camp contracts, I think it's important to take advantage of that.
It's so true.
It definitely adds up.
It's so true. And it is such an ownership thing because you are right. It's an asset. Let's take the soul out of it. Let's just be blood-sucking billionaires here for a second. It's an asset, and you get a Jokic. It's like, well, God just gave you a gift where your asset is now way more valuable. But to your point, that asset comes and goes, and then you fall back down to where you are, unless as you elevate, you build a system that helps you maintain that. And that is exactly this. And by the way, I think most teams have the Noah system. Like I said, the Nuggets have had it. They just didn't have a board. Which is kind of funny.
Right.
Because how much could the board have possibly been?
But maybe a lot. Maybe a lot, though,
Yeah.
honestly. And so it did make me think about, okay, how much could a practice facility help? Well, if it's all about helping players maximize this stuff, I think it's worth the money.
Well, what did Deron Holmes say when he came on this very show? Like one of the things he raved about was the smoothie and the breakfast, and like even a thing like that of like, do you have? I like to imagine what I would be if I'm a billionaire. Of course, that's impossible. It's easy for me to pretend, but you'd be like, yeah, I would want the best chef. I would want the best. Like I would want everyone bragging about, hey, man, it's so cool. I eat healthy because I have this dude that does it.
You can tell certain owners get a kick out of the way people talk about their media spreads. They don't have to do that.
Right.
Don't you feel like there are some teams, I think the Raptors might even be one of them, funny enough, that are in like tier 1 of, we have all the perks.
Yeah.
I feel like the Clippers are in that tier too, ever since Ballmer took over. Like the Nuggets are definitely not in that tier. They're not in that tier. They're not recognized in that tier, but it's funny how there are some teams that are.
Well, what's funny about the
Mavs, maybe.
The Mavs for sure. But so those two examples are great because I think Mark Cuban, I remember this distinctly 25 years ago when he bought the team and he bought everybody PlayStation 2s, I believe, to go in their locker room. And I remember it was like, wow, man, an owner that is making it cool for the players and stuff. And you like fast forward 25 years and you're like, I don't know, Mark Cuban's kind of been kind of bad as an owner. And even if you go to Ballmer is the best one because he is the guy that is spending the most money and doing all this stuff. And you look at the Clippers and you're like, yeah, but also, like I imagine Stan Kroenke's kind of like, oh, you don't have a championship? Oh, that's funny because I don't even have a practice court and I have one.
Well, or the G League thing, right? It's
G League,
who actually cares? But I do think these things can add up and help you be taken more seriously and be considered more valuable and then it's not just quite as circumstantial, And the Wolves went for that big glow up with their. It's funny now they're in this.
This is what I mean.
They're going to glow down.
Yeah, they're a great example actually of. See, Kroenke's snickering at that one too, right?
1,000. They literally did at the podium when he was like the side door. I don't know,
behaving like a startup.
Behave like a startup.
They don't have the funding.
But we can both sides. They also just knocked the playoffs out with Tim's designed team,
That's true.
The Nuggets out of the playoffs with Tim's designed team. But they did go for it with that practice facility. Again, I don't want to just sit here and say practice facility over and over and over again, but. These are things that I think by the time Jokic retires, you hope to see a glow up for the Nuggets as well.
So, just so you guys know, Noah cost anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, and it means
that's like literally a penny.
I mean,
that's nothing. And then what Noah actually comes from the word notch, or whatever. It's Hebrew. And it means rest or
oh, that's why they named it this way? I thought it would have been an acronym.
No, and that's why it's named Noah.
Okay, well, there you go.
Are you sure?
The first part you had me. The second part, I'm like, I don't know.
I think we should buy it.
I'm running with it.
I went to the depths of Google. For
Okay, the depths of Google.
Website and everything.
Producer Yaw here has that too.
I Googled. I did the most research
check
for
the Noah. We're not talking about like religion. We're talking about the basketball thing.
Yeah, the basketball thing. What I will say, first note here, Michael Malone, not at practice yesterday, not at practice today.
Yeah.
He's sick.
Sick.
Or so they say.
He's sick.
He's sick.
That's what they're saying.
Well, when will he be back, Harrison?
Soon.
When?
Soon.
Well, how's he doing?
He'll be back soon.
Wait a second. What? Hold on. Is this a little conspiracy corner?
Did Michael Malone come back from Abu Dhabi?
Let's turn it up even more.
I haven't seen a picture of him since they've been back.
No, I'm sure he's just sick. But yeah, the Nuggets have had these 2 days of practice without Michael Malone. And I talked to David Adelmen today, or we talked to David Adelmen. And one of the things I asked him was like, what do you report back when Malone's not here? And he had some pretty interesting answers. But to me, none of this is a big deal. We're having fun. We're joking around here. But one thing I will say that it's just worth monitoring. Like, it's the seed of a storyline. Doesn't mean it's going to become one, but something to monitor. They start late. They take an extended break. Michael Malone's sick. This training camp, more than any other, feels the most disrupted of any training camp I've been a part of.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Well, it's just a weird schedule, too, because now they're off or just practicing this whole week. And then these next 3 games are Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Kind of in a row.
3 games in 5 nights in the preseason?
So you're not practicing in between those. I mean, you're practicing, but probably walkthrough or film.
Yep. It's just a weird kind of elongated and then truncated schedule.
Yeah.
I honestly think, and look, maybe the Nuggets overcome this. Maybe it actually turns out to be a non-factor. But the fact that the Nuggets end on Thursday of next week and then don't play again until the following Thursday, this is going to be by far the most abnormal schedule of a preseason I think the Nuggets will have ever had.
And that's what you get when you go on one of these trips.
It's part of it. That's definitely part of it, but a big part of it.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's just a couple things where I look at and I go, if the Nuggets start slow, this might be a thing that we look back and say, well, was it because of this, this, and this? And I think it would be fair to at least speculate on that should the Nuggets start slow. But we'll see. Very truncated preseason. Let's take a break on the other side. We talked to 5 different people over the last 2 days. We'll get into some of the notes on all of them.
Miller Lite is a great beer. It's our favorite beer. We love Miller Lite. It is Miller time here at the DNVR bar and on the DNVR Nuggets podcast. Miller Lite's an awesome light beer. They keep it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer, less filling, only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. Miller Lite, perfect for any occasion. You know, if you're watching a podcast, for example, if you're watching the Nuggets, the Avs had their opener last night. They lost, unfortunately, but Avs season is going. Broncos, Buffs, whatever it might be. Miller Lite, they keep it simple, undebatable quality, great taste. Only 96 calories, time change, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, MillerLite.com/DNVR. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
Man, I'm excited to hit this note after the break. But first, I got to tell you guys about Bet365, where it is never ordinary unless I'm placing a live bet. The pioneers of live betting want you to take advantage of all the unordinary moments. They don't believe in ordinary at Bet365. Make every moment, even the seemingly mundane ones, unordinary, more exciting with Bet365. Right now, with the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points. With an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners, even if they go on to blow that lead. So download the app and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. You might also get a 100% parlay boost. Double your winnings on parlays with Bet365, 100% parlay boost. It's not just the lines that are listed every day. It's all the bonuses and all the fun little wrinkles that Bet365 throws your way. Again, open an account, use code DNVR365 to sign up. Deposit $10. Choose between either a bet and get offer or a first bet safety net offer. You have to be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Back here, segment 2, DNVR Nuggets podcast. Yeah. Did you see what I sent you in Nuggets assignments? No. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable, man.
Is it about Noah basketball?
It's not at all. It's actually about D-Line. I want to promote our homie D-Line is in Serbia, and guess what?
He's living it up.
He is living it up while we slave over here. Classic D-Line. He is going to be in Belgrade tomorrow, 7 p.m., and then he has a little, where is it at? He has a tweet with a link. Docker Brewery and Beer Garden in Belgrade. So all of our homies that are out in Belgrade, go meet up with the homie D-Line. Have a drink with him. Tell him you appreciate all the stuff he does.
I saw he was hanging out with Miroslav.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't see this.
That was another picture that he tweeted out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Just grabbing a bite to eat in Serbia.
Man.
Casual.
With Miroslav.
It really is. It's just like our trip. He's just posting big plates of meat.
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, of course. They're just feeding him down
Hey,
there.
really quick, Noah basketball may in fact be a religious thing because they're a part of Pillar Vision, which seeks to operate as a, quote, God-led company.
There you go.
Let's keep diving more into this, actually.
Let's get to practice today. We talked with Christian Braun. Why don't you take it away here, Vote?
Cool. Well, Christian Braun, effusive of always, just so much to say. We couldn't get him to shut up. Just kidding. Christian Braun is more of a walker than a talker, but we did talk with him today.
He's like the Yankees, you know, no facial hair.
Yeah.
You know, just don't say anything. Yeah.
All business. A couple of questions trying to get him to talk about the balance, you know, of being aggressive, playing with the starters. And this is a line he says a lot. He says, with this team, you just kind of read and react. It's just about being in the right places. Most of what they run is similar, regardless of who's on the floor. So it's just about knowing their principles and read and react. You asked him more specifically, Adam, about aggression and that balance of looking for his shot versus just trying to fit in. And you gave me an example. Like if you're coming off a DHO from Jokic, what are you trying to do? And he said, look to score every time. That's everybody though, and not just me. If it's open, shoot or drive. If it's not, move it. It's pretty simple.
I'm going to sort of disagree with him on this one.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny because I asked him this and he almost gave me a smirk of like, look, man, no, I'm aggressive, blah, 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 blah. And I like that. That's the right energy. It's the right, absolute, you know, quote unquote, right answer from a player. But I'll be honest, man, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Christian Braun doesn't shoot the ball well in the first 10 games. What are the odds there's a change at starting shooting guard? Like when I say not well, I mean like bad. The offense is a problem.
the offense is a problem.
Yeah, he's not making his threes. He's afraid to drive to the rim, or he's not finishing at the rim, and it's like...
You would think about a change, absolutely.
I think so, too. And I think more importantly, he has to know that. And I just think that's such a tough spot. Now, look, this is the big leagues, right? These are NBA players. They're getting paid handsomely, even on the rookie scale contracts. But as much as he can sit and tell me, like, I look to score, I'm aggressive, I watch the tape. There are times when I think he picks the ball up a lot.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, and you can tell he's doing that as he's being so conservative. And I think that's smart. You want to be conservative. But there's also... you know, the balance between being conservative and not making mistakes, which is obviously a huge part of his game and a huge part of being the 5th best player in a starting lineup, with, but you also need to be aggressive so that teams respect and honor you. That's such a fine line, man. And I think that for him, I'm on record. I think he's going to have a very good year, and I think his offense is going to surprise people. But I also think that my take is pretty dependent on the first 10 games. And that's a hard spot for him to be at. And even when I watch the preseason, there's just a little hesitation in his game where I'm like, that's a guy that knows if he doesn't do anything, it's better than doing something bad.
Well, also, he is a player, Christian Braun, just offensively, he's a player who is at his best when he has a lot of confidence. And like when he misses a couple shots, when he maybe turns the ball over or something, you can usually see, this is my opinion, I think you can usually see that confidence go down a little bit. Like with him, it's pretty apparent.
I agree, actually.
When he's playing very confidently offensively, he's shooting the ball. When he's got just a little bit of an opening, he's taking it to the rim hard. He's trying to finish through contact, trying to get to the line. I sense that, you know, he loses some of that if he misses a couple shots, misses a couple free throws. I feel like his confidence can waver a bit. And look, I think the starting job is his. I really don't think what happens throughout the rest of the preseason is really going to change anything.
I agree.
But I did see a picture from the Nuggets from practice yesterday. Julian Strawther with the Nuggets starters.
Well, interesting.
They're definitely giving him some run there. I mean, if this is a true competition, you would think Strawther starts a game with the starters at some point this preseason.
I would make a bet of it.
You would think that has to happen. So there's pressure on Christian Braun, no doubt. Like, I think he is the starter, but he's got to play well. Like, he's got to be a cog in the machine for the starters offensively.
Real quick, I love this take right here. CB can have a role like Josh Hart. No need to push him. This is not about pushing him. Josh Hart is not afraid to shoot or drive or do things. He just also is within his role, and I think CB needs to be the thing. But what I'm saying is, when the ball kicks to you and you're wide open, there's a confidence to, well, I know it's the right shot. Now I'm taking it with confidence. And with CB, there is, I agree that he doesn't need to push himself outside of the comfort zone, but the comfort zone needs to be, I have a step on a guy and I need to push this advantage.
This is the learning curve. This is the adjustment. When we talk about the chemistry with the starting unit, and Christian has not played a lot with the starting unit, it's not the how do we play basketball. It's the when do I push these buttons versus am I getting in the way? And that that's going to take a minute. I mean, it took Porter a couple of years. And Christian's going to have a different role, smaller volume. But that's it. It's not, does his skill set fit? It's not, does he know how to play with Jokic in terms of draw it up on a whiteboard? It's just the rhythm, the timing.
Yeah.
When and how aggressive do I be? And what happens to that confidence if I miss some shots, which is a big part of it. Okay, moving forward. The last thing he said on building chemistry, he said, the core group, most people have been here for a long time. It makes it easier when there's a set culture. Guys are just trying to blend in. And when I got here, I was just trying to blend in. Some people try to take that approach. When they first get somewhere, you just try to blend in.
I think it's a good approach, but not everybody has that built into them. Some guys don't really know how to be the new guy.
Some guys don't know how to be the new guy. But he said, the same coaches are here, star players, so that makes it all easy. So, we hear a lot of the same stuff when we talk to Christian, to be honest, and I thought we heard a lot of it today.
Yeah, for sure. What else?
Peyton Watson did speak to the media today, so...
Big thing, by the way, that he spoke already, because you think about that last preseason game got moved up a day. How many preseason games is he going to play? I think it's very encouraging that he is both participating and talking.
Yeah, so 2 days in a row participating in at least parts of practice, enough that they felt confident letting us speak with him today. And he spoke on that hamstring. And he said, the hamstring is one of those things that it can be a lingering injury. The last thing I want to do right now is hurt it more seriously and miss more time. I think we're just playing it safe right now. But I feel great. The strength in my hamstring has returned completely. And I love this. He got specific. So he said, now it's just all about little things, short bursts, lateral movement. I think I'm one of the best defenders in the NBA, and I need to do those things at 100% to maintain that defensive prowess. And he says, but as far as just running and walking and the day-to-day things, I don't feel it at all right now. Having said that, fellas, he was then asked again about the final preseason games, and he said, they're going to take it. They're going to be very cautious about this because it's a hamstring. So there's no guarantee he plays at all. He did go on to say, I haven't just been sitting idle during this injury. He's been trying to participate as much as he can in the huddles, watching film, doing what he can to stay prepared. But as we heard from David Adelmen today, fellas, this is a tough time of the year to miss some ground.
Yeah. Well, real quick, because the quote that I think is most interesting from Peyton Watson personally from this, I mean, the hamstring, obviously, they're taking it safe. No pain and, doing normal everyday things. But that's different from playing NBA basketball where you're really stress testing your body. To me, the thing that was most interesting was I asked him about fitting in offensively and if this is a year where you can scale things up. And what he said was, I feel like this is the year I can be more of a hooper.
He said, I'm a hooper.
More of a hooper.
He's a hooper.
We know this is what last year, maybe he was a basketball player, but this year, more of a hooper.
He's a hooper at heart.
I actually like the answer, though. I feel like there is.
So what does this answer tell you?
Well, what I think it means to him, again, what I interpreted that to mean, was that this is like last year you all want to know how things work. You know how to be the new guy.
Yeah.
You come in and you're not trying to take over, everything. You come in and it's like, all right, this is how it works. And they do this. And I just kind of stay to my lane. But this year it's more of and he was talking about, I think I know how to like freelance basically, meaning like you're going to the rim. I know how to decision make. I know how to play make and just read and react to the game. And this is the year where he feels, and I thought he said this with full confidence of like this year is a chance to explore my game a little bit more within the confines of the offense.
That's how I took it too. I mean, we've been talking about, hey, what if we saw P-Watt with the ball in his hands a little bit more? Yeah. What if we saw him play make? He can really pass. He can handle. He can create a little bit. Well, he wants to do that too. And I agree, man. He was very confident and just like very firm about, this is what I'm going to try to do this year. Yeah. I'm going to try to explore my game a little.
He did say shooting will be particularly important in terms of fitting in with that second unit, but he's confident. Confident in his fit with the bench. Says he can play four, although small forward is his natural position. But he's confident.
That was
right
interesting
now.
too.
Yeah.
He's been adamant about this though.
Yeah. He's like, last year I did play the four. Well, not my position, but I just played it to get on the floor.
Yeah, and I think I can say with confidence, I think he really feels this way, that he's like, at the three, I'm most comfortable. That's where I do my work. But to me, this raises an interesting question to what we just talked about with Christian, because with Christian, it was all Christian and Peyton are almost opposites in some way. I'd say Bones and Christian are opposites, but Peyton is on the Bone side of that split, I would say, not nearly as far, which is, we say a coach needs to give you the confidence to be able to explore. Like, don't be afraid to shoot and miss, and then coach is going to yank me. There's a coach level to that. But there's also a player level to this. And I think Peyton represents, Christian represents a guy that is, very comfortable staying in his role. And you almost have to be like, yeah, but we want to expand that. And you have to push him to do that. Peyton Watson, I think, is more naturally just wants to push the envelope and did a good job last year of not. But I anticipate, and it's a good sign, but I anticipate he is going to have to really, really, really carve out his own role in this and probably push the boundaries, not too far because then you become out of control, but push the boundaries to their absolute allowed limit that the coaching staff is allowing you, and constantly do that. And then the number one thing I took away from today's presser with him was that he seems to understand that and be up for that challenge.
But how much do you put into the fact that he was so adamant about playing more small forward this year? Do you think that's something that the coaching staff has talked about? Because that's really interesting. Or do you think it's just him saying, yeah, I'm a three?
I think that Peyton Watson has made this comment before in the past that he prefers playing the three. And I think when you come in as a redshirt rookie or a second-year rookie, basically, that there's no hey, man, coach put me on the floor, he played me at center. That's where it needs to go. But I do think that this year he probably sees the writing on the wall that he can play some more threes, penciled into that spot, so to speak. So I don't think he is. I think it's probably a little bit of both, but I think it's more his desire.
Yeah, I think Peyton believes in his defense but doesn't want to consider himself a defensive specialist. A guy who averaged 3 points per game his freshman year in college did a lot of scoring in high school, or much more of it as a dynamic wing. I reckon I have a good idea of who he thinks he is, right? Compared to those two players. I very much believes he's still the guy that can score a lot. That's not to say he won't do little things like defense and rebounding and all that. We know he loves it. But I do think Peyton Watson wants to cook a little bit. I think he wants the ball.
Just real quick on this position thing, though, because the 9 guys that we think are in the rotation, the 9 real guys, if Michael Malone's throwing his rotations out there the same way that he did last year, Peyton Watson's going to be playing backup 4.
Well,
He's
that's
gonna
what
be playing
Jamal
backup
Murray.
power forward.
With Jamal Murray.
Right. But so that might mean that maybe the rotations are a little different this year.
That's what
I was getting at with
that's
this.
That's good. I like that. I think you're right. I think that
because if we're staggering Jamal, if we're doing the same thing with our bench,
you're right.
He's going to be out there with
Russ
Sharch as the backup 4.
Yeah.
The only way he's not is if maybe
he's with Mike.
AG and Sharch are out there. Maybe Mike is the backup 4.
Vlatko,
something's changed.
Something there. Yeah,
so
I like that.
That's what I thought when I heard that.
That's a great note, and I think you're right. I think that was good detective work. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, though, we'll get to David Adelmen because what Adelmen had to say both days really hints at differences in the Nuggets stylistically this year that I think are really interesting. That involve some X's and O's. We'll do that on the other side.
Guys, check out Rugged Road. New partner here at DNVR. Really excited about these guys. They have really cool products. Rugged Road dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Their go-to product, coolers. The best coolers out there at Rugged Road. Get ready for your summer adventures with Rugged Road coolers. Some things about their coolers. Floatability, they float. Upright as well, always upright. Lightweight design. Unlike a lot of other heavy-duty coolers out there, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light. Also durable and dependable and versatile as well. Perfect for a variety of outdoor activities. So go to ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use the code DNVR. 10% off your order. There's one of their coolers right there on the screen. Look at that thing. Lightweight, durable, and always floating upright. Perfect on land or in water. So leave that old heavy cooler at home. Get yourself a better cooler for the new season. Rugged Road, your ultimate outdoor companion.
I can't stop going to events right now. I can't stop going out. I'm loving it. I'll run out of money eventually, but that's future Brendan's problem. I recently have used Game Time once again to secure tickets to a Red Rocks event. I'm going to see T-Pain on Halloween in costume. It's going to be awesome. Anyway, I did that.
What's your costume?
That's not to be revealed at this time. But I did it with Game Time because Game Time is the best place to get the best seats at the best price at the best events. They have a great feature called Game Time Picks, which makes it even easier to get tickets for your favorite live events. Back in the day, there was a lot of stress when live ticket sites, launched.
There was a lot of stress back in the day.
Is this the best deal? How do I really know? I got to go to 1,400 websites to compare. You don't anymore. Just go to Game Time and just use Game Time Picks and be confident you're getting the best deals. Filters out the stuff you don't want, so don't waste your time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, fellas?
Game time. The old internet definitely was clunkier, but people didn't yell at you as much.
I did notice that.
That was one thing that was nice about the old
reaction.
Real quick, I did put a poll up on YouTube asking what are the chances that TD gets out. 37% thinks it's 25 to 50% that at 10. Anywhere from there, because there's 4. Like, what are the odds? The
35% say that it's 20 to 25.
20 to 50%.
All right, 25 to 50% say
I'm gonna have to see this.
4. Go ahead. I did a good job. I know what I do.
Your research was proven to be on point.
Yeah, honestly, we should be listening. We doubted it.
I apologize for doubting you on your Noah research. My bad. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're crushing it.
This
dude. We're just
poll
busting your
also
chops.
sounds awesome.
I don't know what it's about or what it means, but I trust you.
All right. Also, you guys, I know this isn't for everybody, but it is for a lot of people. Next Tuesday, Ariana is going to be in this very bar. We're going to be doing our tarot episode, but she's also going to be doing tarot readings. I know some people are like, "That what is going on here?" Guys, you don't have to. Not everything's for everybody. This is a fun one. It's a tradition. One thing I love about DNVR Nuggets more than anything else is we have. Where was Eric right now?
Serbia.
In Belgrade, he's hanging out in Pančevo with Miroslav.
Oh, he took him to Poncho?
No, I don't know. I
my
have no
God,
idea if he
dude.
did or not.
Harrison says that like he visits it every week. Oh, he took him to Poncho?
I mean, yeah, you know, Poncho's known for their bad drivers.
Yeah, bad drivers.
Yeah.
So you have we have an engineer in Pančevo. We have an artist in Australia. Shouts to Josh, Teens on Acid. We've got a tarot reader in LA. Like, we've brought together this awesome motley crew of people, and she's one of them. So we always have fun with that episode. Next Tuesday, come out, meet her. She's a super fan, even if you're not into tarot. To be honest, I'm not. I'm into tarot one day a year.
You don't have to get your tarot cards read, but I mean, you could if you want to know how your next year is going to go.
Yeah. He should do it strictly as a fan. Like, what do I, as a Nuggets fan, need to learn? That would actually be the best prompt. All right, let's get into David Adelmen.
Okie dokie. We spoke with David Adelmen today and yesterday.
Who
as
is
well,
growing
right?
the hair out.
I know.
Hang on. So what's all right? We should start here.
I was hoping you would go here.
Another coach on this bench that's been bald by choice for years. What's
It's
going on?
insane.
It's a coaching thing.
It's tougher, maybe.
Bald coaches are a thing.
They're both not the tallest guys. So maybe it's like, you know what, I got
a thing. I think it was probably more of a thing 5 years ago.
It's just such a psycho move to show up one day and be like, just so you know, I could have done
Full
this
head of hair.
the whole time.
Full head of hair. Don't
I
even
could have
care.
done this the
Yeah.
whole time.
Don't even care, man. Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, glad we settled that.
he had some more specific stuff today. A lot of specific stuff. First and foremost, they scrimmaged today, and Adelmen said that it was way better than yesterday. Way. He said guys were eager and they moved through things quickly, but they didn't rush things, if that makes sense. So they were able to get good detail stuff in, and then they got some live stuff in, 3 different segments, he said. Super competitive.
Yeah.
A ton of positives. Russ was really good today. He said
He was the one guy that he named as a standout.
I love it. I love it.
Well, he got specific about why, too, and I really like this. He said, it's a good experience for the starters going against a guy that gets downhill like that. We're going to see guys like that throughout the year. Fellas, this is something we talked about, helping Murray in practice, like pushing him. There's no rest for Murray out there if he's got to guard Westbrook in these scrimmages, right? This is like he's going to push them to really work at this.
Yeah. And look, we've heard some stories over the years about some Nuggets players who don't go super hard in practice. You know, famously, Mason Plumlee looked like the Nuggets' best center for a time.
Yeah.
We know that. I have a pretty good feeling that Russell Westbrook always is going 100% in practice.
The guy bounces around the gym when he's in there.
I can't imagine what it looks like for him to take a playoff in a practice type setting.
It looks like my 7-year-old. Have you ever seen the maps of like how 7-year-olds walk, and it's just like not in a straight line? They just go. That's how Russ is when you watch him around the gym. It's like he's running 20 times more, just joking with guys.
And he's just his athleticism, how loud he is, his voice, his leadership. He's going to stand out.
Yeah.
He's just going to stand out in that type of setting.
Skip down the rundown for a second because it's a good segue. He said his team today in the scrimmage, Westbrook's team, when they called timeouts, he was the vocal leader in that group. Obviously, there's a lot of young guys in that group still finding their voice.
Yeah, think of the bench.
And then he said, but his overall energy, and it doesn't mean that he's always doing everything right, but he's always doing them hard. And that sets a good example for the young guys. That's the part that I love.
Yeah.
There was a cool question. I think you asked him about how he's a different kind of player than they've had. And he said he is different with his pace. But I think stylistically, while you try to add some stuff and be creative, you also want to remember why you won so much. I like that quote a lot. And it's sort of like a balance, right? Like there are some core principles that they don't want to sacrifice, but you do want to think creatively, carefully about how you incorporate Westbrook.
Well, what's funny about that one specifically is when I did the video with Adelmen last year on RIP DHO, like a play breakdown, he walked through, really insightful, gave some good detail. One of the things he told me that's both in the video, but we even talked about a little bit more that didn't make the cut, was coaches are very cognizant of not giving guys too much. We don't want to give guys too much. Russ comes in, Saric comes in, like new pieces come in, and I think there's more of a need probably than ever to change things up. But at the same time, he's expressing like, yes, we have to change a lot, but we can't change it all right away or else guys will just be confused. We have to like slowly implement. And so all of these things to me point towards The Nuggets this year are going to be a process, and they might not be great right out of the gate. They still need to win games and eke them out. But if they're eking out wins early on and it doesn't look pretty, I actually think that would be a good sign. As opposed to in years past where I thought maybe it was a bad sign. This year I'd be like, if you just get a win but it's ugly, that's fine because it's a foundation that has to get built.
Because what can happen, and I know this from covering a lot of long NBA seasons, is you try to implement new stuff at the beginning, and if it doesn't lead to wins, sometimes you don't want to stick with that stuff for the rest of the season.
Yep.
And a lot of times, if it doesn't work at the beginning, you go back to old habits pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially in a business like the NBA where you just got to win. And the Nuggets are, early in the season, there's going to be a lot of pressure to win, which is how the schedule is shaping out.
Yeah. I want to go into this one now because this actually came from yesterday's practice where I asked him about Michael Porter Jr. playing at the 4 and what's different because I think there's this sense in today's NBA, 3, 4, they're just forwards, right? There's no power forward, not. He disagreed. I asked him, is it a big change? And if so, what are some of those changes? And he said, it's actually a pretty big change. It's pretty huge. When we have Aaron Gordon at the 4, he spaces, or we as a team space the way teams spaced 10 years ago. It's part of how Denver is different than every other team in the NBA is they have a traditional power forward who plays the dunker spot, a.k.a. the short corner or along the baseline. Mm-hmm. And there's a gravity to that. If you think about KCP in one corner, he pulls somebody to the corner, a defender, so he's out, he occupies one. Michael Porter in the other occupies one. Jokic and Murray occupy everyone up at the top of the key, and Aaron Gordon on the baseline occupies one. So the help, it's old school in position, but equal in terms of gravitational pull because AG is so good at playing the dunker. He's so athletic. You have to box him out early. You have to do all those different things. With Mike, it's different because Mike is... if he's playing power forward, you should have 3 shooters on the court. So you have the 2-man game, whoever that is, Russ and Saric, Jokic and Murray. But now Michael Porter at the 4 instead of AG, he's not in the dunker. Nobody's in the dunker, actually. Instead, you're going to have guys in the corner and one on the wing. And while it sounds simple, it actually is a pretty big change that it changes even what types of plays you call. And I think that's the thing that's so interesting. And he even cited, we're probably going to run a lot of more double drag this year with him. Double drag is 2 high screens up at the top of the key. Usually one is going to be Jokic. Usually the second screen is going to be Jokic, and you're going to start with Michael Porter at the first screen. Just a little X's and O here. When you are running action like that, the reason you run 2 screeners is it's really hard for a guard to fight through 2 screens. They might fight through 1, but they're not going to fight through 2. The reason you put Jokic second is you might fight through the first one, but the second one gets you, and now you're talking your point guard got caught on a Jokic screen, so the switch is 1-5, the biggest discrepancy you can get. And the third reason you run double drag action is that first screener is usually either a really good dive player like Aaron Gordon, or you're going to be a guy that spaces out so that guys can't cover and leave that guy for a second and then recover. So you get Michael Porter as the first screener, he screens and pops to the opposite wing, and if the defense overplays the second screen, you just kick it to him for a quick 3. So I thought that was interesting in that it's not just a simple, just move pieces around. It's actually our whole identity changes now.
Because there's been a lot of questions over the years. Why doesn't Porter just play more 4? And that's a really interesting layer of answer. Is there's a cascading effect to how we'd have to give more to more players. It's not just you play a different position.
Yeah, we'll see what happens throughout the season. But I love all the talk about reimagining stuff within the offense. I mean, this is kind of what we've been asking for throughout the entire offseason. Let's be creative. Let's rethink some things with the offense. You're probably going to have to just swapping Christian Braun for KCP.
Right.
And it sounds like they are. I love that.
And I think it actually, what I like most about it is Denver's best punch was good last year. The reason it didn't win in the playoffs last year is because Murray just wasn't up to snuff, but they're not reinventing the wheel because they, for no reason, like, this is just stale. They're reinventing it because of personnel. And it's like, okay, we're not getting rid of the Aaron Gordon offense. We're going to have another punch. And there are certain teams that can't guard that. Like, Denver is really good defensively against a lot of different schemes, but there are some schemes that really stretch them thin. Well, this, with Michael Porter at 4, if you can really nail it, and we don't know, first of all, if the Nuggets can nail it.
Right.
Michael Porter's going to have to level up in a lot of ways. But if they can, it gives you a whole new wrinkle to like, they love to bring in, just for example, Naz Reid and Gobert together off the bench. Well, guess what? You're in the pick and roll nonstop now, Naz Reid. Like, you don't get to play your way, go guard Aaron Gordon or this. Now you're on Michael Porter, and he's going to be shooting 3 after 3, and you're going to have to be running around the perimeter.
And Rudy, you're guarding 1-on-1 again.
Yep, and now you're back on Jokic, and you better enjoy. So there's some interesting things there.
Finding ways to unleash Mike is music to my ears. Like that has to be one of the top line priorities when you're just talking about reinventing, some of the little wrinkles you have within your offense.
No question, but I think a lot of it comes down to Mike himself. Because,
absolutely.
Well, we're going to find out, because I do think that in years past, the team could afford not to do that. And I think this year they can't. They're going to have to go to Mike in these certain configurations. And I really, truly believe that the team, there's a level of, well, Mike's been around, he's done everything right, but can he do this? Can he handle more responsibility? I think the Nuggets, it's one of the most interesting storylines. I think this year they're actually going to commit to it in ways they hadn't before, and we'll see if he's up for the challenge. Not just that, but how do you close games? The Nuggets last year's closing offense, end-of-game offense, relied very heavily on one specific thing KCP did, and now that he's gone, can Christian do that? Or is it possible Mike is going to be the guy? I want to talk about that too in the final segment.
Guys, check out Toyota. Toyota, the official vehicle. There we go. I didn't know what you guys were doing. Toyota's the official vehicle
I
of
teed that up for so long. Was that
DNVR.
not the best tee up?
Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA for generations. Toyota has built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Whether you're conquering the off-road trails or you're hauling the weight of the world, there's a Toyota truck that's just right for you, like the all-new 2024 Tacoma and the return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser. They also offer 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. They have 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East, and Aurora Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets, and it's the official vehicle of DNVR. How cool is it when you go to a tailgate, a Buffs tailgate, and there's just the Toyota with the DNVR logo
It's
on
actually
it?
super sick.
It's like, yeah, I know them. Those are my people. Premier Members Credit Union wants to be your people. Premier Members Credit Union. It's getting more and more difficult to save money right now. That's why you need to make smart money moves. Joining Premier Members Credit Union can be one of them. Here's why. Unlike big banks, PMCU is truly invested in its members and communities. They're a financial institution based right here in Colorado. Whatever your goals, they can help. That means local branches, friendly tellers, and the tools you need to save smarter, like a reverse tier money market. Check out Premier Members Credit Union Reverse Tier Money Market. It's a game changer for your finances and for your life. Why not see what they can do for you? Check out premier.com or the link in our show notes to learn more.
All right, back here, final segment, DNVR Nuggets podcast. So I just teased the end of game action. Let me walk you through what the Nuggets almost always did when it came to crunch time and what was extremely effective. Regardless of their action, and usually their action involves some type of setup that would end with flat spacing, guys in the corner, AG at the baseline. Yeah. But they could run different plays, but they almost always set the table by running a KCP screen on Jamal Murray. And why do you do that? Because your best defender is almost always on Jamal, and your weaker of your backcourt defenders is almost always on KCP. So you run that initial screen, and then as soon as you screen, to prevent guys from trapping the ball, you would run what's called a twist action, where KCP would then fade to the other side, either off of a screen from Jokic, like a flare screen. So he screen the screener, you get him the flare. Or he would just release quickly to that spot. And if you trap on ball, you skip it to KCP and he's wide open, either to shoot it or now the defense rotates, you get it to the corner and you score. And it worked well because what most teams would do is not even attempt that. They would just switch. They'd be like, all right, here comes the screen, not even resist, just switch. And now our weakest defender is on Jamal. And then Denver would run their play.
Right.
So that, and obviously Denver, one of the most clutch teams, you do that, it works incredibly well. And it's one of the reasons the Nuggets are so good. Well, this year, is that Christian Braun? If I'm the coach or a player and I'm guarding Christian Braun and you go to set a screen to try to get me switched onto Jamal, I'm just going to trap Jamal. And I say, oh, what are you going to do? Throw it to Christian real quick? We'll take that in the clutch. Just keep throwing it to Christian then. Is he, and we'll even stunt at him. We'll kind of half kit challenge so it's not a wide open clean look. We'll just kind of make it tough. Is he going to drive and make a phenomenal play? Probably not. Is he going to make the open three? Probably not. So we're not worried about that until he proves us wrong. So Christian, KCP is not only, one of the things that worked about this is KCP obviously is the threat to shoot or make good decisions, but he also was a really good screener in terms of knowing the angle. Because half of screening is like, oh, the guy's riding up on the high hip, so I got to come over here. You know, like it's just like you position your body in a way to force that switch.
Mike's out of this.
There's a lot of veteran savvy that goes into it too. Like, oh, maybe I'm going to hold this guy a little more. Maybe I'm going to clip him a little bit. But I know how to do it without getting called for the foul.
And it was really a sneaky part of what made Denver so good at that action. And I just look at CB. He is bigger and presumably should be a good screener. KCP should be a good screener. I think he
already is a good screener, CB.
So you have that part, but our defense is afraid of that. My hunch is that the Nuggets are going to try this out. And you'll see it late in games. So they go to that action, and we'll just see how do teams guard it. But I think there's another layer of, if it doesn't work, then what do you do? And you just said Mike's out of that question. I'm not so sure.
I was half joking, but when you say getting angles right on screens, I go, not a great start.
Well, on top of that, like some of this, like remember Bol was the worst screener? And some of this is like being a good screener. Your best screeners are Steven Adams, Andre Drummond, guys whose, waist is this big. Yeah. Mike's is this big.
And guys who aren't worried about their spine with every impact.
Well, that part too. I mean, it is guard action here, but nonetheless, the point retained. Yeah. I mean, still, there are guys that they see the screen coming, and it's just like, put my chest right into your sternum.
Right.
And there is a level of wear and tear there. That being said, this is the next evolution of Michael Porter Jr. Is KCP both was smart, hardworking, but also the little details were never lost on KCP.
That's right.
Mike has never been the little details guy like that. And this is, in my opinion, going to be something that the Nuggets throw at him this year of like, hey, now we need you in that action. And it's not the physical part of it's one thing, but the mental part of it's too. Hey, man, why are you setting the screen there? You can see Jamal's trying to set you up here. Is he going to be able to read that is going to be one of the big questions for me. And we'll know early, end of game.
It's a great note.
Yeah, that's a great note. I kind of just want to let you cook for a little more on that.
Do you think, though, now just knowing those variables, because you can stick Christian in the opposite quarter, and even if teams are, that's a more controlled setting because he's not moving, he doesn't have to, it's like you're just set and hit it, and teams will probably still dare him to do that. But I have confidence that Christian can hit you see it coming, you get your feet set, everything's coming, you get it, as opposed to a screen release. Make a decision like that's
which KCP was just so good at. He could set his feet and square up like so quickly.
I like this question from a 42 Ultra then for food for thought. What if that's Julian in that role?
This is one thing where Julian is good at this. You go to Gonzaga, this is a good system. He got 3-year college player. These are the types of things you learn when you're in that type of role. So I think Julian will be good at this. The question is the defensive part of it. Like, are you going to be able to, do you need some matchups? You're probably going to need a stopper.
Right.
Like you're playing the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know if you can say Jamal and Julian, the two of you go guard Ja Morant.
Right.
So there are some games where that's just not going to be an option, but I do expect when they feel that they can, this is one reason I think Julian will be out there.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work, like if you can't do that, you're just pretty much back to like, all right, Jamal and Jokic just run pick and roll.
Right.
And you kind of take a little of the creativity out of it.
Yeah. But even against the tough defender.
Yeah.
But the whole point of that is, if you told me, is Denver going to what's Denver's defensive rating going to be when Christian Braun is matched up on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you say, okay, it's this number. And if I said, all right, now that's him on Jamal Murray, you'd be like, okay, that's a different number.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, but reducing that and saying now you have to do it against the other team's best setup, that's tough.
Yeah. I'm going to be just fascinated to see how the crunch time offense looks this year. Who's out there during crunch time? The last couple of years, you pretty much knew who the 5 guys were going to be.
Yeah.
And there was very little like flexibility that went into that. Even when like Michael Porter was having a bad game, it's probably going to be out there. Even if KCP was having a bad, he was going to be out there. This year's the first time in the last 3 years where it feels like one of those spots could be up for grabs.
Yep.
Who's hot? Who's having a good game? Like, who can you really trust at that 2-guard spot at the end of games? It's the first time in 3 years where that could change night to night.
Which goes back to the confidence stuff we were talking about with Christian, does it feel like it's tight around the neck, if Christian isn't bringing it through 3 quarters or something about it stylistically isn't working, Malone is going to close with Russ sometimes. He just is. Yeah. And I think it would be over CB even more than Russ or MPJ. So,
but you want to talk about a non-threat.
I know. Trust me, that I get. But I'm just saying
from 3, I mean.
There's going to be I think there is going to be
not based on the preseason.
A little bit of pressure though for CB. He's a winner. He's been on winning teams for a long time, and he knows how to wave it off in the presser. But it's a little different just when you sort of feel it coming down your neck.
Last thing I have for today, we'll save everything else for tomorrow. Do you guys want to take a guess at how many threes is the most made threes of the Steph Curry era in a game for the team, as a team? The Splash Brothers, like all the guys.
21.
27.
Oh.
27. Which is an insane number. 27, right? You get 20. The Nuggets got to 23s last year 3 times, I believe.
I know. That's why my guess was so low. I'm not used to seeing it.
So 27 is their record. And think about all the crazy 3-point shooting outbursts they have. Well, turns out that's their old record. Last night, they made 28 3-pointers. In a preseason game, I'll give you that. But, the Warriors are tiny. We count them out every year.
That's what happens when you take out Klay Thompson and you put in...
Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
And you put in Buddy Hield, who's like a really good shooter.
It's just the system, man.
It might be. Well, you even get smaller, right? They used to have the death lineup that they'd go to in small doses. It's kind of all they have now. They're so tiny. And I look at that and I go, I know it's just preseason, but you know what I would be talking about if the Nuggets had done it? 28 made threes. I'd be like, hey, is this the best shooting team we've ever had? So, I mean, does that mean anything to you? That's kind of crazy, even in preseason.
We've seen that with the Warriors, the Suns. That's all they can talk about, shooting more threes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's definitely going to be something they do this year, it seems like.
But they also are pulling it off in their preseason game, if you saw. Yeah. They got their 50-something threes.
The Celtics, we know how many threes they shoot.
Yeah.
We joke about how everybody says they want to shoot more threes during training camp and media day, but I wonder if that's going to be another big trend this year. Just everybody, it was already ramped up to a ridiculous level. If it takes even another jump this year.
I got a hater take for you. Everyone saw the Warriors take all these threes all those years, and they're like, we can't do that. And then everyone saw the Celtics do it, and they're like, oh, maybe we can.
You know what?
I bet
we could do that.
That doesn't look that hard.
Is another trend this year going to be going small? Have you been seeing this?
No.
Herb Jones is the starting center for the Pelicans.
Well, that's more of a Pelicans problem. They don't have a center.
Draymond Green's going to be playing mostly center for the Warriors.
Well, again, they have no other options, I feel.
But why wouldn't they get another option?
Doesn't this go back to Cal's point, though, right? If you don't have Jokic, your team's not very good. Well, you take a bunch of threes and hope they go in, you could beat anyone on any given night, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a team that does have Jokic, how far do you want to lean into what a team like Boston already does better than you?
Right.
Do we need to take gimmick threes? But there's a balance.
There is a balance.
There is a balance, and I think Denver's pushing it. I think they know that. But that is just one thing to watch. Is that real? The emphasis to get up more threes, and can that happen outside of just Porter having the ball more?
The thing about centers, why I think these teams are small, is there's a top tier of center that's a really great player, the Jokic, Embiid, whatever. And then there's a tier of good role-playing center, a Miles Turner or whatever, and they cost a certain price. I think Isaiah Hartenstein falls into this. But right below that is Goga Batazde. And it's like, man,
everybody's just the same.
At $9 million to get Goga Batazde, and you're like, I don't know, man. We might as well just play Draymond at center.
But then you play the Nuggets, and Jokic
and you
is
just get
going to
murdered.
go for 50.
Yeah.
Right. And then also the Nuggets we'll just play Zeke, and then we all want to cry.
Right. So. My hot take is if the Warriors would have picked up Hartenstein, I might have taken them to come out of the West.
Dude, you're out of control.
Let's get to our super chats here and get out.
DJ Seahawk, faster for sure. Wind for you. Are the Nuggets a top 5 team still?
Yeah.
Yes. Super dope hip hop. If the Nuggets are healthy 6 months from now, they're definitely my team to beat for the championship.
Hell yeah.
MVP Jokic plus arguably best top 4 guys all in.
All in heart.
All in heart of prime 26 through 29.
That's true. They are kind of all in their sweet spot right now. And next year that will be a little bit less likely. So
plus 450 for the West and plus 950 for the title.
The bet is in. I love it.
Hey, Super Dope Hip Hop is not a huge Nuggets fan. I think Super Dope Hip Hop just watches a bunch of hoop.
Hell yeah.
That's a perspective to consider.
That's super dope. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us today. We appreciate it. We got a show tomorrow to round out the week. Don't forget, what was the Where is D-line going again? Do you guys remember?
EJ Yaquez says Goga Batadze manhandled Wemby last night.
Where's Eric?
Yeah. Docker Brewery and Beer Garden in Belgrade tomorrow, 7 p.m. Everybody go hang out with the homie, man. Make that a nice big event. It'll be incredible. Hit that like button for us on the way out. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.